He told me you met Jim Morrison.
Who's it?
You know, old, what's his name? Fred Smith. The guy we're meant to be seeing to.
Right. And he told you we've met Jim Morrison, the lead singer of the Doors?
No. Jim Morrison, who sells wet fish down the market. Of course, the lead singer of the Doors.
Watch it, sunshine. Don't get talky with me. I've still got to write your report, remember? Bit of respect, please.
Sorry. But come on, I wouldn't bother mentioning it if it hadn't been someone significant now, would I?
I suppose not. Can you believe him?
I do. He told me it was backstage at the Isle of Wight Festival in 1970. He was in a band himself. Well, they were called groups back then, not bands.
Really?
Yeah. The term band only came in later.
I'm not talking about the term groups. I meant really, was he in a band?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a local group. What did he say they were called? The Bangles? No. The Dangles? The Dingles, that was it. All the members came from...
No, don't tell me. Was it the area in Liverpool known as the Dingle?
No, I was being sarky. Yeah, down by the Mersey. They had a couple of moderate singles, you know, like top 30. Life is just beginning, it began when I met you.
Get away.
No, it's true. He told me the last time we spoke.
I see. He told you. So, on the strength of a couple of minor pop single hits, him and his band, the Two Brooks, or whatever they were called, got to play the Isle of Wight. The biggest rock festival in history after Woodstock. Oh, and that's where he met Jim Morrison, lead singer and co-founder with Ray Manzarek of The Doors, the legendary rock band.
Yes.
You are half credulous sometimes, do you know that?
What do you mean?
I mean, you tend to believe everything people tell you. You should be more sceptical. You know, take things with a pinch of salt more.
Yeah, I know what sceptical and credulous mean. Thank you, Ms. I know a lot of big words.
Oi, I've warned you. Don't push it.
Okay, maybe I am credulous. And maybe I'm not. Maybe, with all due respect, you're just too cynical. How do you know his group didn't play at the Isle of Wight Festival in 1970?
Because it just so happens I have an original poster for it.
An original poster?
Yeah.
You must think I'll believe anything. Oh yeah. Yeah, you did say you had one, didn't you?
What you see here is a very rare item. And if you read who was appearing, you will see listed just about every major group or singer from the time. Jimi Hendrix, Joni Mitchell, 10 years after, right down to Mungo Bleeding Jerry. Search as you might, you won't find a band or group known as the Dingles. I rest my case.
Well, I believe you. And just because they're not on your collector's item flipping poster doesn't mean they definitely weren't there. They could have been a warm-up act, you know, early morning. Or while the big beast of rock was still in the arms of Morpheus, or Copious, or Heroinus, or whatever drugs they'd been off their heads on the night before.
You may be right. And anyway, as you say, what's wrong with trying to impress us? He knows he's on his way out. And, as you'll find when you've been doing this job a while, most of those in his age group are desperate to think they've done a few notable things in the 10, or 17 in his case. He's 77, eh? Same age as Jim Morrison would have been if he hadn't died so mysteriously in Paris in 1971.
It's a shame, isn't it?
An awful lot of fans would agree with you there. If anyone merited the description iconic, it's Jim Morrison.
No, I didn't mean it's a shame Jim Morrison died. I meant it's a shame that all the experiences that people have are just forgotten. when they pop their clogs. Take the Dingles, for example, a name on everyone's lips in 1969, but now, just forgotten. A mere footnote in the Nerd's Guide to Pop History.
So you subscribe to the theory that Diane Young's a good career move then? I mean, Mr. Morrison's as well known now as he was when he died. He's hardly a footnote.
Yeah, but there are reasons for that, aren't there? I mean, he was mega famous. He made a lot of money for the music industry. But, so yeah, he remains well known. But, won't even he be forgotten at some point?
Like Shakespeare, or Einstein, or Elizabeth I, or Beethoven, or Mary Seagull.
Okay. I grant you that if you're a genius or a great ruler or something, yeah, you may be remembered. But what I'm talking about is the more ordinary folk. You know, the great mass of humanity. A few of them only get there 15 minutes of fame.
Like the lead singer of the Dingles?
Like the lead singer of the Dingles, exactly. All his memories, all his experiences of meeting Jim Morrison and sharing a joint with Jimi Hendrix.
What? How do you know that?
Work with me on this. He might have. Who knows what he might have got up to backstage? And that's what I'm talking about. All his experiences. Everything will be gone. Forgotten. And no one will know.
Are you sure you haven't been imbibing a certain illegal substances yourself? You're in a very philosophical mood.
The only illegal thing that I've been consuming today is that own brand tea that they put in the cupboard. Yeah, that should be illegal. Ugh. No. With us both meeting today, I just got thinking about, well, his impending death.
You're right. We are meeting him. And we should probably do that now. But don't you think we should try to cheer him up? Maybe try to put the more positive aspects of his position?
More positive aspects of dying.
Exactly. We should aim for as stress-free a process as possible. I mean, we've had our orders. He's going. But you go on about all his little achievements evaporating as soon as he's dead. He's likely to get a little upset, don't you think?
I'll bow to your greater experience.
As you should. Now let's get our coats on. Let's get on with it. Mr. Smith.
What? Who's that?
Hello, Fred. Do you remember me? I was here last week.
Oh yeah, I remember you. But who's this?
We're colleagues, Mr. Smith. We work together.
I know what colleagues means. Thank you very much.
Sorry, Fred. My colleague here does have a tendency to assume that everyone has a very limited vocabulary. But she meant no harm, I'm sure.
Suppose I'll have to take your word for that. But anyway, who are you? And what you doing here? I know all the staff in here,
Our
but...
job is to help, Mr. Smith. Or may I call you Fred?
No, you may not. I'm Mr. Smith to you. Your colleague can, but I'm Mr. Smith to you, all right?
Oh dear. We seem to have got off on the wrong foot. Very well. Mr. Smith it is. Our job is to help you, as I said.
Right. Well, I'm parched, so you can help by filling me water jug up for a start. And then I'm sure I can think of a few other things you can help with.
Nice one, Fred.
Hey, just because I let you call me Fred doesn't mean we're busy mates, pal. I'm still trying to work out who you are and what you're doing here. You were a bit vague last week, and when I asked the staff who the chap in the white coat with the beard was, they didn't know who I was talking about. They looked at me in that caring way they have when they think you're losing the plot.
Is that right? Maybe just caught them at a busy time or something.
Right. Well, why don't I ring me bell and we'll get one of them in here and you can explain to them who you are. And if you're a couple of tea leaves, I may as well tell you, I've got nothing worth robbing, all right?
I promise you, Fred, we're not thieves.
There you go, Mr. Smith. Let me fill your glass.
Thank you.
I understand you were something of a rock star in your youth.
Don't patronise me, please. I may be on my last leg, but that doesn't mean you have to flatter me. I was in a band.
You mean group, don't you, Fred?
You what?
They were called groups back then, weren't they? Sorry, carry on.
I was in a band 50 odd years ago. We had a couple of hits, but I think it'd be stretching it to say that made me a rock star, don't you?
I was telling her, Fred, that you played at the Isle of Wight Festival in 1970.
We did, and it was a fantastic experience. But I've had a lot of amazing experiences in my life. The Isle of Wight was just one of them.
Tell us about meeting Jim Morrison, Mr. Smith. And I promise I'm not patronising you. I am genuinely interested.
Fair enough. Well, there isn't that much to tell, really. I just got chatting to him in a rest area behind the main stage. I'd heard all about his reputation for arrogance and drunkenness, so I half expected to be told to piss off. But he was terrific with me. He'd watched us do the first set of the day, and he said he'd enjoyed it. Asked me about Liverpool and the Merseybeat scene. That had all ended by the time we were going, of course, but I grew up near where Ringo Starr lived, so I had a few stories to tell him. There was one about...
Okay, Fred. And a year later, he was dead.
That's right. Tragic.
You said before you were on your last legs. Do you mind if I ask how you feel about that?
About dying, you mean?
Yeah. You say Jim Morrison's death was tragic. But how do you think you'll feel when it's time for you to go?
Well, I won't be overjoyed. But I won't think it's tragic, that's for sure.
You won't?
No, of course not. Jim Morrison was 27. Dying so young with so much still left to experience and to accomplish. That's tragic. I'm 77. I've done a lot and I've had a lifetime of experiences. So if I were to cash in my chips right now, it could not be described as tragic. But now I come to think about it.
Yes, Fred.
Well, the conversation backstage only lasted 20 minutes, so I wouldn't claim to have fully grasped all his views on life and death. But some of the things Morrison said back then were more like what someone my age now might say.
Go on, Fred.
Do you know the Doors song, The End?
We do. We know it very well.
You could almost call it our signature tune.
Sorry?
Ignore him. Go on with what you were saying, Mr. Smith.
Well, I asked him about that song, actually. There's been tons of stuff written about its meaning. Whether it is just about him finishing with a girlfriend or it's more profound. All Oedipus stuff, you know. Well, he told me that it's mainly about meeting your end and embracing it. About seeing death as your friend.
People fear death, even more than they fear pain. Life hurts a lot more than death. At the point of death, the pain is over. It is a friend.
How the hell do you know that? They were his exact words all those years ago.
And what was your response when he said that?
I was horrified. I couldn't understand why he would feel that way. I mean, I had a fraction of his talent, his good looks, you name it. But even to a relative mediocrity like me, the thought of not being around to see what happened next in life's great soap opera just appalled me.
But just to be clear, Fred, it doesn't appall you now.
It doesn't, though. When you're young, you can't imagine ever becoming reconciled to moving on. That's certainly the way I felt until recent times. But now, well, it isn't just the pain, as this our body gradually falls apart. I mean, I'd like to see my little granddaughter growing up, of course. But I know she's going to be happy, and I know she's going to live a long life. So that's kind of enough in a way. So no, I don't feel the way I did talking to Morrison all those years ago. Maybe it's a case of I was so much older then. I'm younger than that now. There's another 60s icon put it. But why do you want to know? And you still haven't told me who the bloody hell you are. Look, if you've seen me granddad's gold watch in me drawer and you lay a finger on it, I'll break your bloody hand.
Fred, I promise you, we're not thieves.
Our job is to help people when the time has come.
We're always there, at the end.
We're sometimes given nasty names. Grim Reaper usually.
Grim Reaper? That's singular. How come there's two of you?
Because we have to serve an apprenticeship. I'm training up my colleague here and he should be able to manage on his own soon. Anyway, we prefer the term angels, as nurses are sometimes called.
Do you remember another thing Morrison said to you, Fred? Death makes angels of us all and gives us wings where we had shoulders, round as raven's claws.
Yeah. And I get it. Angels. You're angels of death. This is the end, my friend.
Exactly, Mr. Smith.
I think you can call me Fred now.
Thanks, Fred. I'm really pleased. And can I just say it's always a relief when the people we serve have the attitude you're displaying. So many rage and scream and plead, but there's nothing we can do. And we're on your side, really.
Look, hang on. I'm not sure I'm actually ready to go quietly. Couldn't I just have another day or two,
No.
or please?
No, I'm sorry, Fred. It's time.
Yeah. Come on, Fred. Hey, give us a snatch of one of your Dingle songs on the way out, eh?
I think it's best if we leave the singing to my friend Jim. Don't you?
This is the end, beautiful friend. This is the end, my only friend. The end of our elaborate plans. The end of everything that stands. The end. No safety or